through LSTs? Are they going to do it through staking on their own? Who knows at this point, but it's still going to be net beneficial to this liquidity flywheel. There's going to be other things that aren't treasury companies, like private companies or private funds and private kind of hedge funds and even VCs that have ETH and put that ETH to work, which grows the economy, grows the Ethereum economy, grows the on-chain economy here, makes people more money, leads to the wealth effect, makes ETH go up more, right? And you know what? Historically, an ETH bull market, like ETH holders getting rich and using that ETH and spending that ETH on things within the Ethereum ecosystem has been a lot better than other bull markets. I know that may be biased in me saying that, but it's a lot better. It's a lot more fun. It's not just like pure nihilistic stuff like meme coins. I've been a big critic of meme coins for a while, guys. Like I felt like it was just pure, nihilistic kind of money extraction, speculation for the sake of speculation. Whereas DeFi Summer was, obviously there was a lot of that stuff in that, but from there we got all the DeFi protocols. We put DeFi on the map. Same with NFTs, NFT Summer, if you want to call it that, right? It's the same thing here. So yeah, from my perspective, whenever there's like an ETH kind of wealth effect here, it's much healthier for the ecosystem. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that play out as part of this liquidity flywheel there. All right, so onto the ETH ETFs. So the ETH ETFs had an absolutely massive week last week, guys, and it was the biggest week. Like, let's just put it that way. It was the biggest week in ETF history, ETH ETF history, I should say, not ETF history. Yeah. So the ETH ETFs had more inflows, and this isn't just last week. This is for the month of July, but I figured this was a kind of related tweet here. The ETH ETFs have had more inflows in July of 2025 than the entirety of the last 12 months combined, right? Those previous 12 months combined. So basically, from when the ETH ETFs launched in July of 2024 to June of 2025, there was $4.2 billion of inflows. As of, I think, like after this tweet, as of Friday, the ETH ETFs in July alone had, I think, over $5 billion worth of inflows in just July. Which is crazy when you think about it. The fact that like we didn't have more than that over the past previous 12 months. Now we're having that in a single month. As for last week alone, we had $1.85 billion worth of net inflows. BTC only had $71 million worth of net inflows, guys. So do you see where this is going? Do you? I mean, I see where this is going, right? So this is what I've always talked about, where I said that demand is way more important than supply. And historically, ETH has had a great supply dynamic, right? We had net deflation for a while there. And even at current kind of issuance rates, it's well below 1% net a year. But we didn't have the demand to match it. We missed out on those macro buyers because they went to BTC. We missed out on the on-chain meta of this cycle, which was meme coins, which, I mean, in hindsight, I actually don't consider that to be a bad thing because, like, for various different reasons, I'm actually not going to go through them now because I'll just be repeating myself. But we did miss that. Obviously, the bid went to things like Solana and Sol and the meme coins on there. But now we do have the meta. We have the L2 companies creating their own L2s. We have the stablecoin meta. We have the institutional meta, and then we also have the macro buyers, right? Which is very clearly evidenced by the ETH ETFs, but also by the treasury companies, which are doing very well right now as well there. So all of that is culminating in an incredible amount of inflows for the ETH ETFs. We'll see how it goes this week. I feel like we're going to see another record week this week, but it doesn't seem like it's slowing down because now, as I mentioned, guys, like the ETH ETF prices launched, the ETH ETFs launched when the ETH price was around $3,500. And the highest ETH has gotten to during the period of time that the ETH ETFs have been live is around $4,100. We're at $3,900 today. We are basically a sneeze away from ETH being above those prices. So once ETH goes above $4,100, it means that every single ETH ETF buyer is in profit. And it also means that the charts of these ETH ETFs, because they have different tickers, now don't look like crap because they did look like crap, right? It looked like a down-only chart. Now looks like it's going into price discovery, which it most likely is because ETH is more than likely going to all-time high very soon. So what do you think happens with the inflows there? I can tell you what happens. Just go look at the BTC inflows. Like, that's all you need to do. Just need to look at the BTC ETF inflows to see what's going to happen to the ETH ETF. Spoiler alert, it's tens of billions of dollars worth of new money buying ETH. And that's all I'm going to say on that one. You can figure out where we go to from there. Now, I did mention that Tom Lee's company owns $2 billion worth of ETH, which is 560,000 ETH here, and I had a tweet here just kind of talking about that there. It's crazy how much ETH he's been able to acquire in such a short period of time. People are wondering, how he was able to acquire so much ETH if the price isn't moving, which is funny because people were saying the same thing when ETH was like $2,600 and SharpLink announced itself. I'm going to say this again. I've said this so many times in the past, guys, but I'm going to say it again. You're not going to see the immediate impact of buys like this because of the fact that almost all of these buys go through OTC desks. Now, OTC desks, as I explained last time, will have a stock of ETH. They'll have some amount of ETH. Maybe they have millions of ETH, right? They're not going to go and acquire more ETH from the market unless they need to. So as those reserves deplete, they think that these OTC desks kind of say, well, okay, we need more ETH. We're having all these buys come in. If this trend continues, we're going to run out of ETH. Then we won't be able to make our fees. We need to get more ETH. So they may go to other OTC desks to get this ETH. They may contact whales who maybe want to sell their ETH, and eventually they do go to the open market to buy the ETH. But that's why it takes time. It's not just going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen immediately. It does take time. And the amount of time it takes is random. Like, no one can really tell you how much time it's going to take here because we don't know. These things are opaque. We don't actually know how much ETH these OTC desks have, what strategies they're employing, how they're hedging, so on and so forth, right? So if we look at it from that perspective, the thing is that there may be a week or two where price just sits flat. All these buys are coming in. Everyone's wondering, why isn't price moving? And then price moves. We saw this play out with BTC. When Saylor was buying all that BTC, everyone was like, how is price not moving? It's like, well, guys, I mean, either he's buying OTC, which he is, and that's taking time to play out in the market, or maybe there's just a lot of people selling. I would actually, I wouldn't put it past a lot of ETH holders, to be selling at this price right now, to be selling around the 3,600, 3,700 mark. And the reason is because of the fact that, every time ETH has gone to 4K, it's been rejected in the past. So maybe you're like really bearish on ETH and you're like, well, I don't actually think ETH is going to do much from here. It's already gone up a lot. I think ETH is going to fail to break 4K again, go back to 3K or something like that, and maybe I'll buy back in later. Maybe people are doing that. Or maybe people are taking profits because they're up so much on their recent ETH price. Maybe they bought the bottom. There's a lot of big money that I'm sure bought the bottom at $1,400, $1,500, and now their investment has more than doubled. So they're like, I'm going to take some chips off the table. So it's not just like the OTC buy. It's not just like people not selling. People are definitely selling into this, but we have so much demand that's just completely offsetting those sales. But again, that will take time to play out in the market. Price is set at the margin. It will take time to play out. And I think we're going to see it play out sooner rather than later. I mean, as I'm recording this, it's playing out. We're at like new local highs. What is it? If I open the chart here, 39.22 as I'm recording this right now. So yeah, I don't know. 4K is gonna fall, guys. Like, it's not. I don't think it's gonna like get rejected at 4K again this time. Not with the amount of buy pressure that we have here. All right, so to finish up here, I know I've talked a lot about ETH the asset. I've pretty much spent like almost 30 minutes talking about it, but it's I think this refill is going to be almost an hour long because there's a lot of tech stuff to talk about as well. I put out this tweet just before, and I really wanted to talk about this because it's kind of goes to what I was saying before about having like more of a long-term mindset here on ETH, and I'll read out the tweet and then you'll kind of get what I mean here. So I said here, most people still don't understand the paradigm shift that is happening with ETH right now. Many of us Ethereans have believed that ETH is a store of value for many years now, but the rest of the world is only just now waking up to this and embracing it. And by many years, I mean, go back to 2018, I think is when the ETH as a store of value narrative really started taking shape. And then I continued in the tweet and I said, the stars could not have aligned better for ETH over the last few months, as everything that has happened, such as treasury companies, spinning up especially, has put ETH on the path to becoming a serious institutional grade store of value asset with yield. The best part is that we are at the very beginning of the outside world accepting ETH as a store of value and more broadly learning about the immense value of Ethereum and how it will reshape global finance. And then I ended with my usual saying of ETH is a $100 trillion asset trading at $470 billion. I want to highlight this kind of part of the tweet that I said that the stars are aligning, right? Could not have aligned better here. So if we actually look at it from like a price perspective, like there's not many kind of assets that kind of come back from what ETH has come back from multiple times. And if we take like recent history, ETH was absolutely murdered this year. It went from 4,000, I think in January, $4,100, $4,000. It's like $1,400 in April, right? Like it got absolutely trashed. Like everyone was calling ETH dead. Everyone was calling Ethereum dead. Everything was dead, right? And we all knew this was bullshit, but like that was the sentiment. And then since then, you've seen all of the stuff that you've seen over the, since April play out. Like, and I don't have to go through it all because you guys know. But you've also seen the ETH price go from $1,400 to almost 4K, in 3 months or whatever it is, 3-4 months, whatever it is, right? So a lot of people look at this, especially like a lot of investors look at this, and they look at the market cap of ETH and they think, ETH is worth almost $500 billion. Ethereum is not generating like nearly enough fees to justify that valuation. So why did ETH bounce from $1,400 to almost 4K? Why did ETH not just keep bleeding out? Because even at $1,400, ETH was worth a lot. It was worth $200 billion, right? And I think a lot of the people looking at this will come to the conclusion that the reason why ETH is worth $500 billion today is because it's being valued as a store of value. It is not being valued based on fee revenue, which again is a thing that I have talked about for a very long time, and I